Welcome back. Still watching Business Incorporated. Well, cyber attacks on businesses and government agencies have increased following the Russian invasion of Ukraine, with the risk of spillover cyber attacks against non-primary targets becoming much more widespread. What can countries in Africa do at this time to reduce these risks? Well, we have Confidence Safely, founder, executive director, CyberSafe Foundation, joining us on the program. Great to have you.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here.
Yeah, so what are the cyber risks right now with, this rising geopolitical tensions?
Thank you so much. I mean, that's a very interesting question. And I'm saying it's an interesting question because Russia's war in Ukraine is generally raising cyber risk worldwide. So the thing is, we see this war happening physically with conventional military artillery like missiles and guns. But what we are not, we're not so conscious about is there's also the digital equivalent of that war with cyber weapons. The case in point is the Conti ransomware gang in Russia that's already said very openly that it will strike the critical national infrastructure of any country that launches cyber attacks or any other war against Russia, in response to what's happening in Ukraine. And then Ukraine, on the other hand, as well, is actively recruiting information security, experts as volunteers via the dark web to carry out both offensive and defensive attacks against Russia. So generally speaking, the internet knows no boundaries. And because of that, there are risks. There are risks such as misinformation. I mean, there's fake news on social media right now. In the least conscious way to the very conscious way, people are spreading a lot of fake news. Some of it is real news, but it just really, really needs for us to sit back and be able to judge which of these things we're seeing on the internet is true. There's also supply chain attacks. So what do I mean by that? I mean, a tool that you're using, a productivity tool that you're using in this part of the world, for example, is actually coming from another part of the world. And if that particular tool or the vendor that you're using that particular productivity tool within your organization is attacked and successfully so, what's going to happen is that the impact is going to trickle down to your organization right here in Africa. We also have social media accounts being hijacked to spread propaganda, and this is actually both ways as well. We have hacktivism happening now very actively, so and it's on both ends. So organizations or hacktivists, what I mean by hacktivists, like guys who are basically committing cybercrime in support of one of the parties or both of the, at different times, maybe supporting Russia or supporting Ukraine, could be carrying out different attacks to deface, websites, for example, or carry through different things that ensures that they are able to make their stand known that, okay, they stand with this party, maybe Russia or Ukraine. There's also malware attacks, and just to make this very simple, malware is any harmful code, that makes a computing device, act in a way that it wasn't programmed to do so. So
Right.
we're having all of this kind of risk, across board globally as well.
Right. Well, obviously, Africa isn't insulated from these risks, but what should, African businesses and, countries be doing at this time?
Oh, definitely. Africa is not insulated. And I want to bring back a bit of history as well here. In 2017, North Korea launched the WannaCry attack. And we see that although the attack was targeted at a particular country, it actually ended up spreading to 150 countries across the world. So the key thing to note is that the internet knows no boundaries. And because of the interconnectedness of the world that we live right now, the impact of any cyber attack across the world would definitely trickle down to Africa. And I would say that basically one of the key things we need to do is get the basics right. So, for example, do we have software patch within our organizations? Do we have two-factor or multi-factor authentication turned on all our platforms? Or even for your small business, for example, have you strengthened your password? Have you chosen to use very strong passwords? So it's very important that we get the basics right. Now, going past the basics, it's also important that based on the size of the organization and the maturity level, that you take the right steps to protect your crown jewels. What do I mean by your crown jewels? I mean those things, those parts of your systems and infrastructure that without which your business actually rests heavily on. You need to be able to protect them and show up security for them. You also need to have a business continuity plan in place in case of a cyber attack, in case a ransomware attack hits your organization. How do you continue doing business? Because right now, we are not going to be talking about if your organization is going to be attacked. but when. So it's more important to attain cyber resilience than, generally speaking, just ensuring
Right.
that your organization is cyber
So
proof from attacks. Generally
it's
speaking,
not about if, it's when. All right. So
it's when.
what are cybersecurity companies doing?
Okay, so it's not doomsday really. I wanted to just put a balance there.
Right.
It's not the end of the world. I would say, generally speaking, cybersecurity companies, again, depending on the maturity level of the organizations that they're providing advisory to. For the big institutions, for example, the banks, for example, they have threat intelligence streams that gives them an update on what's happening in different parts of the world. They can gain learnings from there, begin to shop different kinds of defenses based on how they feel the threat landscape is evolving. So depending on the size of the organization, you should be able to have different things in place that you put in. But again, I would say go back to the basics. Everyone needs to go back to the basics, get all of those basics right, and then begin to move up from there.
All
But
right.
generally speaking, listen to the companies advising you right now as it has to do with cybersecurity, and it's better off to invest now to protect the organization than having to invest after you've been hit by an attack.
Quite interesting. Well, thank you so much, Confidence Staveley, founder, CyberSafe Foundation. It was great having you on the program.
Thank you so much.